But you know what, Gary? I don't think they're full. As much as I think they will try to sell their fan base and the media on this was a deal to make us better. This was a deal to make them better at keeping Giannis. That to me is really was just the driving force behind this deal. Because Dame Lillard is a better player than Drew Holiday. I love Drew Holiday. I love all the, but Dame is a better player. And in their minds, we added the best player in all the players in this deal. Milwaukee winds up getting the best player without question. But to me, the one thing that made Milwaukee such a good team and such a champion team wasn't because they had the best players. It's because they had the best fit of players around Giannis.
The A-List Podcast is brought to you by FanDuel, the exclusive wagering partner of the CLNS Media Network.
Hello, everyone. Welcome into the last episode of the A-List Podcast until Celtics Media Day. I almost got y'all. Y'all got work. Like, I thought everybody was good.
Does she know something that we don't get?
I'm resigning. I'm kidding. No, that's not happening. Yeah. Yes. A. Sherrod Blakely, Gary Washburn. I'm Kwani Lunis. We are recording just as the biggest news, of course, because we always have to get a Woj bomb right before the season starts. Damian Lillard is coming to the Eastern Conference. He's going to Milwaukee. In exchange, Portland, they're going to get Drew Holiday, DeAndre Ayton, and some unprotected first-round picks from Milwaukee. It's all messy, but honestly, the highlight really, very much so, Dame Lillard going to Milwaukee, which in turn very much so impacts the Celtics in their run for the championship. So let's just get into it. What is your reaction? How does the Eastern Conference play out, shake out now that Dame is on the good side?
Well, here's the thing. Milwaukee, for really good 2-3 years they won a championship and they were in that short list of title contenders. But clearly the last couple of years, they look a little bit sketchy. They look a little bit shady. And really, as much as we want to talk about this being a deal to put Milwaukee back in the title contention conversation, this deal was really about making Giannis happy. This deal was more about making sure that you gave yourself the best shot to keep your best player in the fold for years to come. And Giannis made it very clear that he is not trying to be on a team that's not contending, or at least putting the pieces in place to contend. Now, Dame Lillard is a definite talent upgrade. The problem is that Dame Lillard, like all NBA players, Father Time has the binoculars out and sees Dame Lillard. He's coming for Dame Lillard. He's not there yet. Dame got, I think, a good 2 elite years left in him. But after that, I think it might be a painful drop-off. And remember, he's a small guard, so defensively, there's some concerns that Milwaukee's going to have to address in that regard. But in terms of overall talent, definite upgrade, and definitely puts them at a minimum, a team that you're talking about potentially coming out of the East.
Yeah, I mean, I was stunned because Milwaukee's throwing all of its chips in the middle of the table, but you give up Drew Holiday, that's a lot. He's one of the best two-way guards in the league, good defender, is capable of scoring 30 points in a game. He's one of those guys that when he gets going, he gets hot, he's hard to stop. And you're giving him up, and as well as Grayson Allen, who played a good piece for them. They lost. Joe Ingles went to Orlando. So now you're playing with Dame, with Brook Lopez, Bobby Portis. Middleton's coming off injury. Like, as much as I think it's a blockbuster trade and it's a lot to talk about, I'm not so sure this makes Milwaukee appreciably better. Because you give up your best defensive guard, one of your best defender. You say Giannis is your best defender, and maybe Lopez second or third, but Drew's definitely number 2 if he's not their best defender. And with Dame, like Sherrod said, he can score, but he's not a great defender. And so, yeah, Milwaukee's going to have 2 of the top 75 players, 2 all-stars, 2 all-NBA players. And if you want to include Middleton, who hasn't quite been at that level because of injury, that's a great trio. But I'm just concerned about losing that defender, that dog, that guy who can stop people, who can make that key steal like he did a couple years ago against the Celtics to cinch a game. Like, to me, that's a lot. just to get Dame. They didn't get any help other than that, and just to get Dame. So it's a risky move. And so, Milwaukee's a good team, but how deep are they? And now you got to put really old. They were older with Lopez. Giannis is not young. He's not old. He's 20, 28, 29. So it's not like he's old. Giannis in his prime. Middleton, injury prone, over 30. And now you add a 33-year-old Dame Lillard, who is capable of scoring 70 points, as we've seen, one of the great scorers as a point guard of our generation. But the other elements, stopping people, and we don't know how this is all going to work under a new coach. This is not Budenholzer anymore. This is Adrian Griffin. We have no clue what kind of system is going to be run. No doubt that Griffin's going to be a good coach. He's been waiting his turn. He's we've known him since he's been in the league as a player. But that's a lot to lose your best defender. I think Milwaukee gave up quite a bit with the draft picks here, but Grayson Allen, who was one of their three-point shooters, guy who could, defend. We all know he's got a reputation. But then Drew Holiday, boy, that's a lot. Now we all know Holiday's entering the last year of his deal. So they were going to have to probably extend him or whatever, but that's a lot. I don't know if Milwaukee got appreciably better. I think they're different and they're interesting, but I don't know if they're much better.
But you know what, Gary? I don't think they're as much as I think they will try to sell their fan base and the media on this was a deal to make us better. This was a deal to make them better at keeping Giannis. That to me is really was just the driving force behind this deal. Because Dame Lillard is a better player than Drew Holiday. I love Drew Holiday. I love but Dame is a better player. And in their minds, we added the best player in all the players in this deal. Milwaukee winds up getting the best player without question. But to me, the one thing that made Milwaukee such a good team and such a champion team wasn't because they had the best players. It's because they had the best fit of players around Giannis. And this deal, I think, raises a lot of concerns about whether they may have improved from a talent standpoint by adding Dame, but do they have that ideal championship fit that brought them a championship a couple of years ago? And when you look at teams in the league in this era, there's such parity that it really isn't about having the most talent. It's having the most talent that fits together. And those are two completely separate things that, as we've seen, you go back and you look at that Brooklyn team when you had Kyrie, you had James Harden, and you had Durant, and they never could figure it out. They could never stay healthy enough to figure it out. But even when they were healthy, they weren't exactly getting it done at a high level. And so Milwaukee is a better team now from a keeping Giannis standpoint, but I want to put them in that short list. But I still think the Celtics are a better team. I still think at the end of the day, from top to bottom, Boston is a better team.
Get ready for the NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets. Guaranteed. That's guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Now is the best time to join FanDuel. It absolutely is. The app is easy to use, and you can be on everything from spreads to player props and more. So visit FanDuel.com/Boston. Kick off the NFL season with an offer you won't want to miss. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
Okay, so to that point, let's look at Boston now.
That's called the segue, Kwani. You see that?
Yeah, that was good. That was beautiful. So that being said, though, what are some of the issues, would you say, that are affecting this team that we're looking forward to watching this season? We can start with Tatum and Brown, like the expectations. What exactly are fans looking for, and what should they be looking for?
What you got, Gary?
I mean, it sounds like they got a full team. Like I talked to Brad Stevens at the Garden. He told me Brogdon is healthy and ready to report. We'll be there media day. That was a big question. And also Kristaps Porzingis. That's good news. Brogdon is a guy who's going to play a key role this year. In addition to being sixth man, he's probably going to play some point guard. He's going to have to be better defensively, and maybe they could sacrifice the scoring but they're going to need a lot from him this year. And he's going to need to be mentally engaged and forget about what happened in July and almost being traded to the Clippers. Porzingis, you want to put him on bubble wrap. You want to make sure he's ready to go for opening night. So whatever kind of reduced schedule you want to give him during the preseason, do it. Make sure he's ready. So you're trying to get 70 games out of Kristaps Porzingis. Robert Williams, big year for Robert Williams. It's a big year for a lot of people. Obviously, Tatum and Brown. Tatum's approaching his extension. Brown, now the highest paid player in the NBA. He's got to start approaching that. I don't think he's the best player in the NBA. I think we all agree on that. But he's got to get that top 2 or 3 team, all NBA, top, 10 player. He's got to play like that this year. And to me, we can talk about that later, but the additions, Lamar Stevens is a dog. Like I thought Brad has finally put some real players on the bench, not good guys, not towel wavers, not guys who will, some real dogs on the bench. Fill the bench up. If somebody don't get minutes, hey, you're playing on a championship caliber team, deal with it. As opposed to, hey, we have a bunch of nice guys who are good teammates and, we'll get you a Gatorade quick. No. We don't need that. We don't need that, right? You need dogs. The Celtics now have some dogs with Lamar Stevens, with Sherrod's buddy, O'Shea Brissett.
Defensive player of the year, according to Gary Washburn.
With Delano Banton, with guys, who are going to be key to the kid from Sacramento's on a 2-way. He's playing with a lot of desire. He's looking for his shot. So I like this team, Kwani. I think they have a lot to look forward to. It's just health and just chemistry, getting that chemistry. First year, full year for Missoula. It's a lot to look forward to. And like Sherrod said, I do think they're still better than the Milwaukee Bucks. The Bucks lost a lot. You lost Drew, you lost like their bench, they don't have the depth that they once had. So that puts a lot of pressure on their starters. We'll see what happens.
Well, Gary, drink.
Oh boy.
Wait, what?
I'm just saying, Gary talking about guys being able to get drinks quick on the bench. I just want to make sure. You're hydrated, Gary. You good? You good, Gary? You good?
He needed a drink.
I'm fine. Have a seat, Sherrod.
Listen, I'm excited about this Celtics team because to me, they got guys who want to scrap. They got guys who want to get at it. And their lead dogs, Jalen and Jason, they each have something to prove this year. And they're at that point in their careers where it ain't about promise, it ain't about potential. It's about getting the job done. It's about getting that chip, and it's about leading this team in a way that you haven't done up to this point. And so I think part of what Gary was talking about Brad and just kind of the assembling of this team, it comes from the fact of just getting your ass kicked as a coach. Brad saw firsthand what not having enough dogs in the kennel looks like. He knows when you get to the playoffs, you need guys who can scrap a little bit. You need guys in practice who can scrap a little bit. Because the way you practice is often how you play in games. And so they've got guys now, I think, that play with a little bit more chippiness, a little bit more edge, who play with something to prove, much more so than some of the other teams he's had, where guys were just thankful that they had a job in it. And they really weren't trying to do much more than be thankful that they had a job in the NBA.
Yeah.
And they get you Gatorade during games. They'll open the door for you going to the practice facility. Let you hold the car, keys to the car. If you need to go to 7-Eleven or somewhere, pick something up. They got anything and everything you need except that edge. They don't bring that edge. And now Brad has got guys who have a legitimate edge. And I'm looking forward to seeing them play. I'm looking forward to seeing guys, deliver hard fouls, make tough plays in traffic, and force Joe to make some hard calls in terms of his rotation. Because I think, in the perfect world, you want to have 6 or 7 guys that you can count on every night to go out and give you something. And usually have a legitimate fight for that 8th, that 9th rotation spot. And you want it to be so that guys understand that every day in practice, every game you playing, you fighting to get on the floor. And that man next to you, your teammate, yeah, you're going to support him, but you're trying to kick his ass too. And so having more guys in that frame of mind, I think is just critical. And when I look over at teams like Milwaukee, and I look at Miami, and I look at some of the other top teams in the East, I just don't see the talent, that dog, depth. I just don't see them when you pick all those things together and add them up and you start stacking what they got compared to Boston. I just don't see them being in the same class as Boston. Boston, to me, is a clear heads and shoulders above the rest of the East.
So there's no one in the East that you would say is the biggest threat to the Celtics at this point?
I'm afraid of none of them. Boston,
Okay.
I mean, here's the thing. If it comes down to this, play your game, team 2 through 15. Celtics play your game.
Yeah.
Boston is going to win at a best of 7 if everyone is healthy and playing like the way they are capable of. Boston's going to win every single one of those matchups. Every single one. Teams, if for Boston to not get to the NBA Finals, it is going to be more about what they don't do or what they're lacking in terms of health and things like that than it is the opponent. Because nobody right now can match up with them. Nope, not happening.
Gary, you agree?
Yeah, I still think that the Celtics are the best team in the East. I'm not going to say they don't have a threat. I mean, we're going
to. Thank you, Sherrod.
I would. I think you're going to have to see what happens over the next couple of weeks. Now that the Lillard thing is resolved, where does Jrue Holiday go? Because I don't think he's going to stay in Portland. Does he go to the East, back to the East? And what happens in Philadelphia with James Harden? So, because that affects two teams. Could you put do the Heat have enough to acquire Jrue Holiday from Portland? Could they work out a deal maybe for Tyler Hero and get Jrue Holiday? So now you got Jimmy Butler and Jrue Holiday. That'd be a scary combination, defensive combination. And Miami's going to find players to make up the Haywood Highsmiths. Watch out for a dude who's kind of come out of nowhere named Orlando Robinson, who's dominating summer league. And
you like that dude?
I do, because he probably could have helped out last year. He played a good chunk of the season last year. Then when he was on a two-way, so he didn't play in the playoffs. But now they're gonna need him because they lost a lot. And then we don't know. Like there's Cleveland. Cleveland added Georges Niang and Max Strus. The Knicks. How the Knicks going to be in year 2 with Brunson and Randall and Barrett? That trio. Like there's a lot of teams that are sneaky. Sneaky, but there's no team that you're like, oh, wow, okay, that team scares me if I'm a Celtic fan. I think the Celtics are capable, even Milwaukee. You figure out how to defend them. They've defended Dame well in years, but the funny thing is when they played at Portland, they shut him down to the fourth quarter, then he scored 21 straight points. In the fourth, and almost brought him back, right? And it was like, oh boy, you can play 3 great quarters against the defense against Lillard, then he scores 25 in the fourth. But I think they'll figure out a way to figure this whole thing out. And I think the Celtics right now are still the favorites. Now the odds might have gone down a little bit in Vegas on FanDuel about their odds against the Bucks, but I don't look at another team. Philadelphia got issues. The Knicks, are they ready? They got Dante DiVincenzo. But they're basically the same team as last year. We don't know. Is there a sleeper team that's going to come up? People are talking about Indiana. Is there a sleeper team that comes up and suddenly wins 50 games that we don't talking about? Is Atlanta? Who knows? I'm not throwing that. That's likely not going to happen. But this is the Celtics' year. If Milwaukee, as they are, to me, me personally, myself, I love to say that. Myself personally.
Oh my goodness.
when I would be personally more afraid of the championship Milwaukee team in 21 than the team now. That's just my personal assessment of the Bucks. Like I think they're a good team. I think Dame's a great player, but I also think losing Holiday that didn't sit well. Now, if they had got him and Holiday, now I'll be like, hey, man.
It's a good conversation.
Yeah, we talking different. The fact they had to give up their best defensive guard, all defensive team, first team, perennial guy, to get a guy who don't play defense.
Who's getting old.
Who's getting older. But who's a real dog? Dame's a dog. We all know that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll see.
So as you were talking, I did look up the odds just out of curiosity. So
Good job, Kwani. Good job.
Thank you. So I saw that. Good research, exactly.
You're pretty good at this hosting thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So the Celtics, 3 weeks ago, there was an article on FanDuel.com that had the Celtics at plus 470 with the highest odds to win a championship. The Nuggets behind them at plus 480. The Bucks at plus 600. So today's latest update on FanDuel has the Milwaukee Bucks at the top with the highest odds, plus 360 to win the championship. Now Denver is now in second, and the Celtics have now shifted to they're tied at 480 plus 480, the Nuggets and Celtics. So it's very interesting that move did somehow change and shift the books. Because other people would disagree with you too, I guess. They don't see the Celtics as the best.
Well, it's a sexy pick to go with Milwaukee now because of the trade.
Mm-hmm.
When you pair a guy of Giannis's stature with Dame, yeah, they're going to be really good because of those two guys. But we're talking about a season. We're talking about winning a championship. And I don't think they have the pieces around them now to do that, because as important as it is to have your go-to guys, you got to have the right complementary pieces around.
Sure.
You look at that Denver Nuggets team, they've got the greatest triple-double guy going right now at the center position. But you look at the way that Gordon played. You look at the way that our boy Bruce Brown was balling out. You start going down the line, their role players played at an all-star role player level. And Milwaukee, I don't think has the talent around them to do that. And then you come over to Boston, and yes, you got Jason and you got Jalen, but damn, you got the sixth man of the year, Malcolm Brogdon. You got five-time All-Star Hal Horford. You got an all-defensive big in Time Lord. You add a guy like Porzingis who can get you 20 and 10 and not even be your number one option. You start looking at the Celtics roster, and you start looking at their receipts that they're putting on the table. I don't see how you can look at Milwaukee and be like they're better. I just don't see. I just don't see it. They've got great star power at the top of the food chain, but then you start starving, and further down you go. You're not eating good no more. You went from Ruth Chris to, hood. So hood stuff.
Hood Chris. Hood Chris.
Hood stuff.
Hood Chris.
From Ruth Chris to Hood Chris. Video. Wow.
Well, honey, that wasn't.
I know we're all fighting to get a joke out of that one too.
Hood Chris. Y'all funny. I'm looking at the Bucks bench right now, and it's like they got some guys that, like, they're older. Like, let's be honest, they got our friend Robin Lopez and Brooke Lopez. They signed Robin, so they got the Lopez twins. They're 35. Chris Middleton's 32. Remember, Jay Crowder's still there. He's 33 now.
He's still there.
He's still there, like rerun at Jefferson High School. Still there. Young folks look that up. Anyway, they signed their biggest offseason acquisition besides Damian Lillard was Malik Beasley, the former Timberwolves. He had a little stint with the Lakers. Didn't really work out well with the Lakers, but that's their biggest offseason acquisition. They got a kid, Marjon Beauchamp, who I think is going to blossom into a pretty good player. Pat Connaughton is still there, Arlington's own. They got Bobby Portis, who's they got guys who can play their role, but no one on this roster after the big three kind of scares you. And you're asking Brooke Lopez to come back with another monster career year after having one at age 35, like, that's asking a lot.
It is,
right? So I think the Celtics are still primed and they're still in a good position, but they need to just stay healthy and, quite honestly, get that chemistry right with Mazzulla, and I think that they still are the favorites.
Because other than Al Horford, is there anyone in their like top 6 or 7 who's over 30? I don't think there is.
Oh, no.
And a significant number of those guys are in their mid-20s, that they're not going to be hitting 30 for a couple more years. So that's kind of partly why I think the Celtics are just head and shoulders better than the rest.
All right. Well, we'll have more to talk about this, obviously, for the rest of the season. We promised Vinny Goodwill this week, but he was too busy for us. So he'll actually be on next week as we still look forward to previewing the Celtics season for you guys. For Sherrod Blakely and Gary Washburn, I'm Kwani Lunis. This is the A-List Podcast. Thank you for listening. And again, we'll be back next week.
New FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Ever wish you could navigate the betting field with the confidence of a pro? Enter Odds Are. They're not a sports book, but they're the sports betting advisor you always needed. It's like having a playbook for smarter bets right in your pocket. I've been absolutely loving the experience, and I think you will too. Especially since Celtics All Access listeners get a 30-day free trial. Elevate your game day and join the smart betting revolution. Go get it at oddsr.com/Celtics. That's oddsr.com/Celtics.